Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend lands them homeless, carless, and adrift. Those are mine. Oh, you work for a cruise line? I want a deal. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend lands them homeless, carless, and adrift. I call my stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend Wreck-It Ralph, no relation to the trademark cartoon, just coincidental naming. He has a tendency to break/ruin/tear up everything he touches. My stepdaughter, who is actually a sweet and endearing young woman whom I love dearly, has, like many young women with self-esteem issues, allowed herself to be led astray by WIR. In the year they've been together, she's lost everything, but at 23 she is old enough to learn her lessons without us parents coming to her rescue until she gets rid of WIR and back on track. When they first got together, they lived with her dad and myself for a few months. It very quickly became apparent WIR had a chip on his shoulder when it came to me. He would carry tales to my husband, causing us to argue, despite my husband telling WIR many times that was my house and everything in it was mine. WIR would keep asking my husband, not me, if he could have this or that, and that's if he asked. He kept getting more and more animals despite our telling him no more. Neither were taking care of the ones they had. They weren't buying dog or cat food or cat litter, my husband and I were. They weren't picking up the messes, and they weren't training them, allowing them to tear up our belongings. Mary Jane is legal in our state, and there is a dispensary in our town, and the only work these two would do is door delivery, her job with a daily payout, just to get enough money for WIR to make a purchase at the dispensary every day along with eating at fast food restaurant. WIR's chip on his shoulder when it came to me was such that they brought my husband a soda one night, walking in the back door right past me, calling out loudly, "We got you your favorite soft drink," to my husband in the living room with zero inclusion to me. Another example is my stepdaughter asking if she could use my debit card to go get the four of us drinks at a local convenience store one hot day. My husband and I were unloading stuff from the truck and trailer in the backyard, which was no problem. However, when checking my account, they spent $20 on food for WIR without asking. The end came when I told them they had to replace the bedroom door their dog chewed the bottom out of, and refused to allow the pit bull mix they wanted to rescue, even though it had a bite history, to enter my home. They moved to my stepdaughter's mother's home at that point. During their time there, my stepdaughter kept getting tickets in her car, which is only registered to my husband. They weren't paying their insurance, which I had bought my stepdaughter her own policy and paid the startup out of my money when they lived with us, and didn't pay the plate renewal. Now her license is suspended, and it cost my husband and I $600 to get the plates again in his name, only unsuspended. Plus they had damaged the car and it needed repairs. So he took it from them. Before her license was suspended, but after the police took the plates from her car, my husband let her use his truck, which was on my insurance policy. WIR drove it, and he has no license, and blew the motor in it. It is now sitting and can't be used. I told my husband I would put the car on my insurance for him, but only if he drove it. If he returned it to them, I was canceling the insurance, which I've stood by. Nevertheless, WIR called daily demanding my husband return the car to them once it was legal and fixed. After 3 weeks my husband finally said, "Look, you dumbass, I don't know what it is that you think you're trying to accomplish here, but you're not demanding anything from me and you're not getting the car back. I may have originally bought it for her before she got with you, but it is my car in my name and I'm keeping it in lieu of the truck you ruined. Don't call me again about the car. Got it?" We had been hearing of ongoing disputes between my husband's ex and WIR. Things got so bad there that WIR told my husband's ex-wife to pack her shit and get the F out of her own home. Another time he told her to shut the F up and remember who she's talking to. So we all decided it was time to let our daughter hit rock bottom, since she wasn't seeing how WIR had taken her from being a sweet, lovable, well-liked and responsible girl in a college nursing program to this person with a criminal history and no prospects at the moment. My husband's ex-wife moved in with her boyfriend, turning the power off at the home she had been renting, and told her former landlord, whom she was actually longtime friends with, she wouldn't allow it to affect their friendship if he evicted them for squatting, since neither were on her lease to begin with. When my stepdaughter called wanting to come back, my husband told her she could, but WIR could not. Now they are staying at a homeless shelter in the town where WIR's mom lives, and WIR's mom won't let them live with her either. We hate to see her go through this, but this entitled WIR she won't let go of has really brought her down, and she can do so much better. This guy actually told us once he couldn't work at a factory that he interviewed at because it was climate controlled and his heart condition won't allow that, then argued with me and my husband that climate controlled meant controlled by the climate, so it was hot in summer and cold in winter. We haven't seen him hold a job or do anything useful and productive since they've been together, just demand from and use the people who love the girl he's become a cling-on to. WIR is an absolute piece of s ###. I'd go so far as formally trespassing him from your property and going no contact with him. Your daughter will at some stage hopefully see sense, but it may take time. Hopefully, and before she has any children with him to boot. I'm calling my parents right now to thank them for everything. Climate controlled, my hot tea just came out my nose. Weird, considering I'm a skilled writer and editor. It's showing on my feed as having paragraphs and proper sentence structure. I apologize for any difficulty you have had in reading it and don't know the issue between writing and upload. I wish I could find a factory that had both air and heat. Ralph reminds me of my brother Lazy and Entitled. My family is in a somewhat similar situation where my uncle is married to someone that tried to get my, at the time, newborn niece/goddaughter taken away from her parents for BS reasons. When everyone in the family went off on her for that, besides me, as I want to put her in the hospital with multiple broken bones. So she has cut off her husband from his parents and family that will actually help him. And even though he is a CPO in the Navy, he is too blind to see the controlling and manipulative which he is with. So until he sees that she is destroying his relationship with his family, we have cut him out. Those are mine. I've been seeing a lot of posts/articles about lunch thieves, and it made me think of mine. This happened about 4 months ago. I brought in a thing of pizza rolls with my name written across both sides. When it was time for my lunch, I go to the freezer and can't find them. I looked all over just to make sure they weren't moved. They weren't. In the microwave, there's a plate of pizza rolls warming up though. I looked in the trash, and right on top was the bag with my name in huge letters. The person who was warming them up had left the room. So once they're done cooking, I pulled them out, grabbed my ranch, and started eating. Then walks in Teresa. And let me just say, she is pissed. She asks me how I have the nerve to steal her lunch. Conversation went like this. Me, you mean the lunch that I brought in? Her, you didn't. That's mine. Give it back to me. Me, this is me. Her, if you don't give it back to me, or give me $10 to replace it, I'm going to go tell Rick. Me, okay, go for it. Few minutes later, Rick and Teresa comes walking into the break room. T-C. There she is eating my lunch. Is that true? Me-no. If you look at the bag at the top of the trash, you'll see it has my name written on it. She could have done that after I left. Rick just rolls his eyes and says there's nothing he can do. Are you at least going to make her pay me for it? No, the bag has her name on it. As far as I can tell, it's hers. Rick walks out. You could have told me it had your name on it before I went and got Rick. And you could have brought or bought your own lunch instead of trying to steal mine. She still tells new hires to watch out for me. Man. Some people are just insane. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal quite a few years ago about this. A woman who worked for some Fortune 500 company, forget who, had her lunch stolen. Turns out it was some really high-up exec, a VP making way up in the 6 figures. This was a long time ago. Today it would probably be 7 figures. She caught the guy red-handed. For some reason she felt empowered enough to rip into the guy, shoot his ass out really well and very loudly. As fate would have, the CEO walked by and saw the whole thing. questioned the VP. Instead of doing the right thing, the VP tried to justify it, as in, yeah, well, I got stuck in this meeting and now I have another and I couldn't eat and I'm starving and she can go buy lunch, here, I'll pay for it. Nope. The CEO took him into his office. Within an hour, he was escorted from the building. This kind of thing probably happens maybe 0.1% of the time, of course. People who steal food at work should be fired immediately. They always turn out to be stealing in other ways too, either other things from coworkers or the workplace, but also the credit for work they didn't do, or general not doing their job, and so on. This is just ridiculous. And how dare you hold back evidence of her thievery? Like you have to have security cameras on the office refrigerator now. I'm going to start writing my name on my sandwich with mustard. Oh, you work for a cruise line? I want a deal. Years ago, I worked for one of the large cruise companies at their headquarters. Pay was meh, but I did get nearly free cruises and great deals for family and friends. There was a few catches though. 1. Taking advantage of the deal meant you had to behave yourself on board. Certain passengers feel they have a right to act like total assholes to crew because they paid for that right. Crew does their best to deal with it. Want to be an asshole, then pay full fare. You don't get to do that on the discount trip. And if you do, and it's bad enough, the ship is calling corporate and they are revoking the employee's cruise benefits. 2. If you have trouble paying your bill at the end, alcohol or other onboard expenses that were charged to your account, the ship will call corporate and the employee who sponsored the guests and vouched for them by agreeing to cover any unpaid bills gets called into an unpleasant meeting. The thoughtful, responsible relatives never dreamed of asking for a discount trip. I had to offer in order for them to use it. The alcoholic second trophy wife of a cousin-in-law I barely know tells everyone at a family gathering how excited she was that I was getting her a deal. Didn't ask. Just assumed. So I lie and say, oh no. I'm so sorry, alcoholic bitch second trophy wife I just met. I only get one deal a year and mom got this year and granny got the next. Nuts. That would have been so fun. You're more polite/patient than me. I would have been like, that's news to me. You ever heard of please? I can't stand pushy people like that. When I was in college, I worked at Disneyland. They give cast members, employees, sign-in passes to the parks. 3 people per sign-in. My great aunts and uncles just expected me to sign them in. I lied and said sorry, can't, immediate family only, they check IDs. My husband used to fly airplanes to a huge tourist attraction in the Southwest. An old friend of my sister's that I vaguely knew asked if she could get the friends and family rate for the most expensive flight for herself, her son, her friend and the friend's child on the rafting package. Fine, but you go standby and aren't late and all that good behavior stuff. That morning, she wasn't ready when the shuttle bus picked because she was hungover, so her friend took both kids and had a great time. Guess who had her name taken off the friends and family list? If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.